Hi, friends. Happy Monday. Can you guys believe it's Monday, like already? And the day went by really fast. So I'm just on here to give you guys the 15th day of surrender word. I know I said I was going to come back on yesterday and give you guys actually this word. I was going to give it as a bonus word, but I felt led to do it today. So this is going to be the 15th day of surrender. Um, and what the Lord is saying by this word is you are going back. You are going back. And this is not backwards as in like a bad thing, like you're going backwards, but you are going back. And it won't be perfect, but you will have favor there. Okay, this is a restoration and reconciliation word. It doesn't necessarily have to be just marriage, but I sense this strongly for restoration and reconciliation what am I trying to say? I sense this strongly for marriage, reconciliation, and restoration. I feel that this is a round two. I do again. I do again, round two. But again, this word is titled, You're Going Back. It won't be perfect, but you will have favor there. So I had this dream last Thursday. I'm going to give you guys the dream, and then I have a ton of notes written. All of this is for this word. So if you see me looking down, I am reading from my notes. And yeah, let's get into this word. So in this dream, and keep in mind, if you are new, welcome. I hope God sent you here and you didn't send yourself here because you're not connected to everybody and everybody's not connected to you. So it's so important that whatever church you go to, whatever ministry via YouTube or Instagram, whatever ministry you connect yourself to, that you check with God first to make sure that's a place that you're supposed to be at. Okay, sometimes he may send you somewhere and it's just for a single word. It's just for a single moment. But some people stay longer than they need to. In some places you don't even belong. So before you subscribe to Bold for Christ, you'll never hear me say click, share, and subscribe ever, because I feel like that's for vloggers or something. I'm not a blogger. I'm a prophetic voice. And I don't have to say click, share, and subscribe. I don't want you doing any of that. I want you to be led by God and you choose what you want to do. Okay. Based on God's leading. But welcome if you're new to my platform, to the Lord's platform. I'm just a vessel. God speaks to me majority of the time through dreams, but I do have visions. I can hear the Lord speak to me. I've heard him audibly. He speaks to my heart. He speaks to me in a ton of different ways, but my prophetic gifting is mainly in dreaming, and God gives me parable dreams that over the course of the last few years, I've allowed him to give me the gift of dream interpretation and to train me up the way that he sees fit. Not through a dream interpretation coach or whatever people want to call themselves. Like, my dreams aren't ordinary. So I literally sat with God and allowed him to train me up like a child. Okay. So anyways, he speaks to me a lot through parables. So it requires like a in-depth breakdown. So it also requires your spiritual ears. Okay. So this word is not for everybody. Take this word back to the Lord. Take me back to the Lord. But again, this word is it's titled, You're Going Back. So for whoever this is for, the Lord is saying you're going back. Okay. And the back that he's sending you back to is a place that is divinely destined for your journey. It's a divine destiny. Okay, a promised land, so to speak. So he's saying you're going back. So this is a place that you've been before. So if you're going back, you've been to this place before. Okay, this is not a new place, but he has made it new. Okay, this isn't a new place to you. This isn't a new position for you, but he has made it new. But he's saying you're going back. It won't be perfect, but you will have favor there. Okay, so again, I had this dream last Thursday. And in the dream, I was back in Austin. And if you don't know, I lived in Austin before. When I first started standing for my marriage, and I'm not a stander anymore, but when I was first standing for my marriage, that stance started in Austin, Texas. So in the dream, I was back in Austin and I was moving into this apartment, and it was a brand new apartment. It was really big and all the things, right? And when I walked into the apartment, immediately I saw a couch, right? And there was a guy in the apartment, and I knew the guy was over the apartment, right? He was like head of the apartment, or however you want to word it. But I knew he was in charge. And when I walked into the apartment, again, it was brand new, it was big, but I noticed a couch, and on the couch, there was a stain on one of the cushions on the couch. And then after I noticed the stain, I smelled a stench, and it wasn't a stinky stench. It was like a stench that you smell when something's been closed off for a long time. Like, you know how like when you leave a house or leave your house or an apartment and it's vacant for a while, so it's empty and it has that certain smell. So it's not a stinky smell, it's that smell where something's been sitting for a while, like unoccupied, so to speak. Wasn't stinky, but it also wasn't like pleasant, right? But I knew this man that was in charge would show me favor. I knew whatever I needed fixed, removed, whatever I needed, that he would show me favor and he would get it taken care of, right? And that was the end of the dream. Okay, let me give you this breakdown, and I'm going to read over my notes because I do not want to miss anything for whoever this is for. So again, the Lord is saying, you're going back. It won't be perfect, but you will have favor there. And like I said, in the dream, I knew I was in Austin, Texas, and Austin, Texas is where my journey started. It's when I first started standing for my marriage. It's when God first gave me the gift of dream interpretation. It was where my first prophetic dream came through. All of my first happened in Austin, Texas, and it all happened after I was divorced, and I had literally hit rock bottom. I felt like I didn't have nothing left in life. Like I was literally at my lowest of all lows. And in the midst of that, God called me to stand for that marriage, and he literally bestowed the prophetic gift of dreaming upon me. And then he gave me dream interpretation. Then he told me to start this YouTube ministry, and the whole nine. Never thought in a million years that I would be a prophetic anything. Okay, that was nowhere near my thought process at this time, but God had bigger plans. So I'm giving you guys that back history for a reason, because whoever this word is for, it's going to make more sense. Okay, but this is where everything started. But I never would have tapped into my calling and begin my close walk with the Lord unless this divorce had happened. And it was like it almost felt as if I was driving and someone just sideswiped me, boom, out of nowhere. That's what my divorce made me feel like. Like I was like, this can't be real life. Like nothing that dramatic, that drastic, that painful had ever happened to me before. So I feel like at that moment, after my divorce, I hit an all-time low, and the only person I could call on and trust was Jesus. I didn't have family members that I could trust and be close to. I didn't have anybody but Jesus, and he wanted it that way because that pushed me into purpose. I wouldn't know you guys. I wouldn't be walking in my calling, nothing. I always tell people my divorce saved my life, because had I not went through that unexpected hurt, pain, crushing, I would not be where I am today. So I am thankful for my divorce. Would I want to go through it again? Absolutely not. But my divorce saved my life. It pushed me closer to God, closer than I've ever been in life. So it wasn't even about standing for a marriage and restoration. It was literally about standing for my first marriage with the Lord. He's our first husband. It was me standing for my first husband and walking into purpose and getting to know him and developing intimacy with him. That's what it was about for me. Okay, but it took something as dramatic and drastic and painful and hurtful as a divorce to push me into purpose. So anyway, all of that started in Austin. So keep in mind, in this dream, I was moving back to Austin. Okay, but I want you guys to catch this because this is a round two for many of you that this word is for. It's a I do again moment. I do again. Okay, so the new apartment, the Lord is saying you are entering a new phase of life. It's a fresh start, a place / situation that you have been before. It's a restoration, a reconnection in a new way. I was in Austin. The name Austin derives from the name Augustus, and it means great, magnificent, majestic. The Lord is saying this restoration or reconnection will be highly effective and positive in a way that it's never been before. Hence, great, majestic, magnificent. The apartment in the dream was very big and nice. The size of this apartment, it was big, is symbolic of God expanding your tent. This reconciliation, the reconciliation of this relationship will bring expansion, newness, and increase in ways you've never thought possible. And this is all a part of God's divine plan for this union. Remember, Esther's tent was also expanded with her I do. Esther's tent was expanded. She not only said I do and became a wife, she also became a queen. She also became very rich and wealthy. She also was pushed in power. She was also in a high position, okay? So keep in mind that Esther's I do also came with an expansion of her tent, okay? Catch this. Even though the apartment was new and big, I noticed a stain on the couch and a stench as if the apartment had been sitting unoccupied for a while. When God created the world, he started with the surface of it first. Catch this. It was empty, void, and dark, but he made it new and beautiful, much like he's doing with this union and this place he's sending you back to. He's starting with the surface first. He started with the surface first. The underlying issues, sin that comes from us, became apparent after he created this dwelling place for us and is still being worked on today. God forgives us for our sins daily, which makes us clean again and rids us of our stench. He works diligently and patiently with us every single day in this cleansing process. His mercies are made new every day. Just like this new place that God is bringing you to for this union, this reconciliation. He has redesigned it externally, so it is free from darkness and no longer void and empty. He has filled it with his presence and improved the external circumstances, but there's now, he has filled it with his presence and improved the external circumstances. But there's now a focus on inner healing, the past impurities, sins, mistakes, etc. The outward appearance and environment has been made new by God's hands, but some underlying issues still remain. Things won't be perfect, but they are now on a solid foundation. The stained couch represents some deeper underlying issues that still remain unresolved and need further attention. Old problems and emotions that need to be addressed in this place of rest, in this new position. A couch, you sit on it, you rest. Okay, catch that spiritually. I'm going to read this one more time. The stained couch represents some deeper underlying issues that still remain unresolved and need further attention. Old problems and emotions that need to be addressed in this place of rest, in this new position. Even though Esther was in a new place, in a new position, there were some underlying issues, which is the reason why God even placed her in this new and beautiful place. Internally, there were some things going on, and God needed her in position to help tend to these things. It was news to Esther, it was news to Mordecai, but what was going on wasn't news to God. He knew all along why he was placing her in this beautiful palace, this big and beautiful place, just like this apartment that I was going back to, right? He knew that he was placing her externally, everything looked good, but internally, inside that big house, inside that mansion, there was some internal things going on, and Esther was put in place to assist with those internal things. Catch this. And just like the actual process of cleaning a couch stain, sometimes you have to go over the stain more than once to get it out. These issues won't be dealt with overnight, but the person that God is restoring you to will be willing to work on these issues together and find resolve. The stench in the apartment represents neglected purpose and the stench in the apartment, help me, Holy Spirit. The stench in the apartment represents neglected purpose, potential, calling, opportunities that God presented to this person that hasn't been fully utilized and embraced due to their disobedience, which prolonged this union. There are certain things that would not be accomplished in this person's life until this union was in place. That favor door couldn't be open. He who finds a wife obtains favor from the Lord, right? There's a certain favor door that cannot be open until the wife God has for this purpose, that for this person is in her proper place. There's a certain favor door. There's opportunities, there's callings, there's potential that this person cannot partake in until this wife is by their side. Now that this union is in place, this is a call for the two of you to tap into this together and make the stench a pleasing aroma to the Lord's nostrils. The man in the dream I knew would show me favor and fix what was needed. Just like Esther was shown favor by her husband, so will you. He was willing to give her anything, even up to half of his kingdom. This person will show you favor and be willing to do what's necessary so that God's divine plan for this union will be executed properly. Continued maintenance in a house and an apartment is necessary. It requires constant cleansing and care to keep it fresh. So will this union and relationship. It will take a continuous effort to keep this union sacred, clean, undefiled. That is the word, guys. That is the word. The Lord is saying, you are going back and it won't be perfect, but you will have favor there. Again, this is a restoration and a reconciliation. It's a reuniting of a union. Okay, this doesn't necessarily have to just be for marriage restoration. Take it how God speaks it to you, but you're going back to this place. And just like I said in the word yesterday, that a lot of you are going back to places that you said you would never go back to because you experienced so much hurt, pain, turmoil there. But God has done a new thing. He's rebuilt this thing. So even though there's internal issues that still need to be worked on, he's not returning you to perfection, but now this union is grounded on a solid foundation, the rock, capital T, capital R, as in him. Unless the house is built on the rock, as in the Lord, it will not stand. This time it will stand. Even though there's internal workings that need to be handled, that's okay. Again, when God created the earth, he started with the external, right? We are the internal. We're still we're in this world, right? The very beautiful thing that he created, and we're still all sinners. We still have to repent daily. So it's a constant work that God has to do in us day to day. His mercies renew daily. He gives us new grace daily, right? But he started with the external. Again, this world was empty, dark, void. He made it beautiful. But the internal issues, us, the humans that are on it, we have to be dealt with every single day. We are all still sinners. No matter how close we get to God, we're still going to be imperfect beings, but he's not looking for perfection. He's looking for persistence. He can handle the rest. And that's the same thing you need to look at when you look at this union, this reconciliation, this restoration of this relationship. He's bringing you back to something new, but there's still going to be a stench. We went over what that means. There'll still be stains. We went over what that means. But now this thing is on a solid foundation. So this time it won't fall, but he's sending you back. He's sending you back. It won't be perfect, but you'll have favor there. And it also brings me back to when I used to have a counselor, right? And one thing, my counselor and I would talk about different things, but we talked about marriage a lot. And I remember her telling me in her marriage, and she was much older than me, like around my mom's age. She said in her marriage, she said her and her husband were married for 30 plus years, maybe 40 plus years. And he passed away. So she's a widow now. But she said, that was the best man that she had ever met. She said she really didn't know true love until she met him. She said, but make no mistake, she was telling me her marriage was never perfect, that they went through a lot. And she was saying how they had a house together, and he was kind of messy. So he would leave his shoes by the door and cups on the table and all of these things. And she was a bit OCD. So she liked things to stay organized and in place. And he was just not that type of person. He wasn't dirty, but he wasn't like her, right? As far as like the organizing and the cleanliness goes, right? And she said one day she was complaining to her mom, telling her mom, you know, how he leaves stuff around the house and she always has to clean and da da da. And her mom asked her one simple question that changed her whole perspective on things. Her mom asked her if she wanted a house or a home. Her mom's like, do you want a house or a home? She said, because a house, it just looks pretty. It looks put together. It's nice on the outside. Everything's put together on the inside. But a home, it looks lived in. It looks like love resides there. So if love resides there, things get a bit messy, but that's what makes it a home. It's not just a house. She said a house, it's just a building. It's a building that looks pretty and preppy, untouched. She's like, when you have a home, it's lived in, it's full of love. It includes getting messy sometimes. And she said that changed her whole perspective on things. She said, because at that very moment, her mom made her realize like she wanted a home. Like she wanted her house to look lived in. She wanted it to be filled with love. And again, that includes being messy. People can walk in it and they see that, you know, two people live there. Like it's a house full of, like, there's a lot going on. People live there. They're embracing what they have, their dwelling place. So it wasn't just a house, it was a home. And she said that changed her perspective. She said going forward, when her husband left his shoes by the door, she would just put them in their proper place. When he left dirt on the floor from when he got off from work, she would just mop and sweep the floors because she wanted a home. She wanted there to be love in that house. She wanted to embrace the messy parts. And thank God that her mom said this one thing that changed her perspective, because she didn't know that her time with her husband was going to be short. And now she misses him every day, but she's not grieving over the things that she should have done when he was here. No, she had a home. It was messy. It was full of love. Like there were times where she wanted a divorce, but none of that ever happened because God had their foundation grounded on solid rock. He is the rock. So hopefully that makes sense to who it's for. I just also felt led to share that, but that is the word. You're going back. It won't be perfect, but you'll have favor there. And that God knows that you said you never go back to this place. Like now I'm all put together and I'm stronger and I'm wiser and I'm all these things, but this person is a part of your divine destiny. This person has been ordained by God to be in your life. You have been ordained by God to be in this position. So that is the word, guys. So this is day 15 of the 40 days of surrender. And that's all. I hope this word blesses you. Take it to God. Take me to God. And we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.